Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk in Lviv, western Ukraine, on Tuesday afternoon. The goal, according to the President, was to discuss the work of a planned new Ministry of National Unity in Ukraine. In addition, President Zelenskyy will attend a meeting of the EU Council in Brussels on Thursday. The Council's new President, António Costa, said in his invitation to attendees, quote, "The situation in Ukraine will be at the forefront of our discussions." Well, what does all this mean, this intense diplomatic activity, and what are the factors at play? What are the hoped-for outcomes? Well, to explore all of these questions, I'm delighted to welcome Vira Konstantynova, former foreign policy advisor to the chairman of the Ukrainian Parliament. Welcome to TVP World, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Good morning, my pleasure.
Good morning. So let's start with an overview. What is the message being sent by the meeting between Prime Minister Tusk and President Zelenskyy in Lviv?
According to my personal perspective, I would say that the main and the most important message that Poland stands and continue to stand with Ukraine in terms of counteracting to Russia's unjustified, undeclared war. But again, I believe that this meeting is one of the most important because Poland stands with Ukraine not only from February 2022, but our Polish colleagues were with us since 2014. And this war in different formats is ongoing since 2014. And our Polish friends, brothers and sisters, our Polish partners supported us since it's already more than 10 years. And I believe that taking into account that Poland will chair the EU next half a year, it's important to coordinate our actions and coordinate our efforts in terms of Ukraine's potential membership in the EU as well, by the way, as in NATO.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpick there. Let's start with EU membership. What could you kind of shed some light on what you mean by coordinate? What does this meeting signify in terms of EU accession for Ukraine? What do you think the steps might be that have been agreed upon?
In terms of our strategic partnership, I would say that Poland was the main promoter and one of the countries who supports us and supported our membership in EU long before the Russian full-scale invasion and the beginning of the Russian aggression in 2014. So I would say that I'm a little bit optimistic, but I need to be realistic, but I am so optimistic regarding the Polish chairmanship due to several reasons. I believe that we will start our negotiations, accession talks, in terms of several clusters that had been already announced by the President Zelenskyy as well. So I hope that Polish counterparts as well as Polish diplomats will help Ukraine to facilitate several clusters that will be very important, I believe, in terms of our future membership, including, for example, agro-policy, including energy security issues, as well as, for example, the issue of border crossing. Because as it was announced during the press conference made by two distinguished leaders, that Poland and Ukraine had managed the issue of border crossing for mitigating, some kind of issues of crossing borders during the holiday season. So I believe that our Polish colleagues will be our, best partners in terms of negotiations and accession talks.
Understood. Now, moving on to another type of negotiations, the negotiations for a ceasefire. Now, Prime Minister Tusk has made it very clear that Ukraine needs to go to those talks from a position of strength. Two questions. What is a position of strength, and is a ceasefire really on the cards?
If to follow the updates of the recent developments on the battlefield, and of course, the significant issue is the position of our other strategic partner, I mean the United States of America, and inauguration of President-elected Mr. Trump, I would say that this message from Prime Minister Tusk was very relevant in terms of Ukraine needs to have some kind of position of strength in terms of enough weapons, in terms of enough air defense and anti-missile systems. So from this perspective, I believe that there is an issue of not only diplomatic pressure on Russian Federation, but as well it's an issue of practical steps. By the way, our Polish colleagues were among the first who supported Ukraine with weapons, and it was very important in terms of our survival during the first year of war. But again, we need to be, realistic. We had several ceasefires with Russia, and unfortunately, I need to underline that there is no sense in ceasefire if we wouldn't have some kind of final solution. Final solution for Ukraine, I mean, in terms of just peace, it's a restoration of our territorial integrity, including Crimea. It's a reparation. It's a compensation for damages. It's for example, in terms of human lives, we need to have some kind of justice for victims of Russia war. That's why, in terms of declarations and statements, I would say that the most important part of the statement was regarding manipulations as well as some kind of misunderstanding regarding the Ukraine's defense capabilities. Mr. Tusk had said that there is no sense in terms of declaration and following the manipulation regarding the current situation on the battlefield. It's important that European leaders, Mr. Tusk, as one of the most important actor in terms of European policy and in terms of future of European Union, I believe that this message was the main, not regarding the ceasefire, but regarding the avoiding manipulation in terms of Ukraine's capabilities to counteract Russian aggression.
Understood. Okay, so let's move now to NATO, and inextricably linked with NATO, of course, is the incoming president of the US. Now, Prime Minister Tusk has made clear that if it were up to him, Ukraine would join NATO within a day, and that's a fairly definitive statement. However, we are getting somewhat different messages from President Trump, President-elect Trump. Sometimes he says that, well, we're spending too much money, other European countries need to step up. And more recently, he's been saying that he wouldn't simply abandon Ukraine. How is this dynamic working, from the Ukrainian perspective?
From a personal perspective, as well as the practitioner of foreign policy, I would say there is a logic, because since I guess the beginning of the last year, I heard several discussions regarding the necessity to strengthen the European theater, European partners, in order to have some kind of visibility as well as vision in terms of Russian aggression. Potential Russian aggression against European states. In terms of my personal perspective, I would say that there is no contradictions between statements made by President-elected Mr. Trump or his national security advisors. There is a significant geopolitical challenge that our American partners had been estimated. It's a Chinese challenge. That's why, in order to strengthen positions of American superpower, it's logic that we need to have good relationships and good in sense of defense capabilities in Europe. In this regards, I would say that I'm realistic regarding the steps and further efforts of the administration of Mr. Trump in terms of trying to negotiate some kind of solution. But again, in terms of practical steps, I believe that Ukraine wants peace, but we want peace in terms of just peace, in terms of our territorial integrity and international law. It's important to understand that in terms of foreign policy, the one and the most important outcome of this war should be the restoration of justice as well as restoration of respect to international law. It would mean that all nations, not only in Europe, but also in other regions of the world, for example, Asia-Pacific, could have a normal future, prosperous future in terms of international rule-based order. In this regards, I would say that we need to work hard together, Ukraine, European partners, as well as American partners, in order to ensure the strength and security for all our societies on the transatlantic community.
I think many hearing that would agree with you. Vira Konstantynova, thank you so much for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. That's all from this episode of World Talks. Don't go away. Lots more coming up.